Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mad Queens Present, and it is the finale. It's finally over, and we have a lot to talk about. Hopefully B will come in soon. If not, we're gonna still keep it rocking. I am a little bit under the weather today, but I'm with my girls, so I feel like it's going to be all right. Now, before we get into anything, before I introduce this amazing panel, I do want to put out there that this is a safe environment. If you love this show, please let us know in the comments. Please tell me what you loved about this episode. What was your favorite part? What you enjoyed the most about it? And if you hated it, I also want to know, what did you not like about it? What was it that made you say this wasn't it for me? I want people to respect each other. It is okay to love this show or hate it, but we will respect each other. And if I find people saying, oh, that's stupid or blah, blah, I'm just going to block you because I don't have time for that. But other than that, we're going to keep it moving. First, let me hit it to my girl, AK, Lord Commander. Introduce yourself. And also let us know from 1 to 10 what you rated this episode.
What's good, YouTube's Lord Commander AK here. Let's see. For the rating, my initial rating on Sunday, I think, was an 8 out of 10. I think I'm honestly gonna drop it to a 7 out of 10, just because the wrap up didn't really sit that well with me. There were good points in the episode for sure, but there's a lot that was left undone, unfinished in my eyes. So that's pretty much it. And thanks for having me, T. Everyone in the chat. Special shout out to Charlie in Westeros, just popped in.
Hey, Charlie. I know you hurting. Beauty Queen, let everyone know who you are and what did you rate this episode between 1 and 10?
What's good, everyone? This is Manaro. I rated the show a 10.
That's what's up. Okay, and our special guest is Sam. Y'all seen her in the chats. You seen her do some streams, and you also seen some of her videos. And if you haven't, her link is definitely in the link description below. Introduce yourself, Sam, and let us know from 1 to 10, what did you rate that episode?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me, Mad Queen. It's always a great time with you guys. My rating has actually stayed the same since Sunday. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I'm taking the episode for what it is. It was beautifully shot. So
once again, that's what's up. Me, I'm kind of on the side with AK. I gave it a 5. I don't know what I was expecting. I took Beauty Queen's advice and just went in with low expectations. I don't know if I was wanting more or if I just didn't like the pacing. But I gave it a 5, which means that no, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, but I didn't really enjoy it, but then I did. So it's kind of like 5 seems to be where it's at. But I'm so excited that at least 2 of you guys actually did enjoy it. So it's going to be a cool, diverse panel. So, actually starting with you, Sam, what was your favorite moment in this episode?
I think my favorite moment was the realization that the remaining Starks are safe.
Mm-hmm.
They all have a place in the world, and that's it. That's where we started this series off, was with the Stark kids, and that's where we ended. And I think that kind of got me.
That's what's up. In the chat, I asked what they rated. Nancy T, what's up? She said 10 out of 10 for her. Lord Snow said 10 out of 10. OTDA said 10 out of 10. So it seems like we're in good company with people who actually really enjoyed it. I think my favorite part is so stupid, but it was with the gathering when they was actually choosing a king and Edmure stands up. And in my head, I was like, Edmure, sit your ass down. And Sansa ended up like, Uncle, sit down. And then the part where they laughed at Sam about democracy, I thought that was the best part. Beauty Queen, what was your favorite part of this episode?
I loved everything. Oh man, I don't have a good. Okay.
You gotta choose. We'll talk about everything, but what's one that's like, oh, you know what? I like that one.
You know what? I'm gonna say the part where Dany, when she's walking out and Drogon's w-
The
uh,
wings.
wings come out, and it's like they're kind of like superimposed on each other. I thought that was absolutely magnificent. It just gave me like world power, domination. I am a dragon. That it just I just thought that was it. Even though I had more,
Yeah.
but I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I love the visual on that one. She looked like a fucking dragon. I loved it. Going back into the chat just to let you know, living my Rhapsody. What's up, girls? She gave it a 10 out of 10. She in the chat, what's up? Gave it 7 out of 10. Sir Fandom, hello, Sir Fandom. He gave it an 8.8 out of 10 because for him it felt rushed. Maybe he wanted more. I'm with you on that. AK, let us know, what was your favorite part of this episode?
Hmm. Favorite part? I think I have two actually.
No,
And
you're
it
gonna choose
was
one. You're gonna choose one.
yeah.
Because Beauty Queen had like a zillion. I could just tell.
Okay. All right. Well, she already tossed out one of mine. So I will say when they very clearly demonstrated how intelligent a dragon actually is at the end when Drogon came in, assessed the situation quite accurately, and was like, yeah, okay, this fucking chair's got to go because it got my mom killed. So I really appreciated that. And I'm hoping that he took her back to Old Valyria.
Yeah, most
That's what
likely.
my canon says. Either that or a shy.
Yeah, I hate that's one thing. It was like, what are you doing? Why didn't you kill him? But it's interesting that that's one of your favorite parts. Fandom changing his mind again. Now it's at a 9.5 because Tyrion didn't finish his okay. I don't know what you meant by that. I think I
The
caught
joke.
the end of that joke.
Oh,
Pine
see,
cone.
he was responding to me because I said I felt that way too, but I had to think past the rushness.
Oh,
So
so
he
he
was,
pushed it up. Okay,
yeah.
well, look, we can all change it. What's up, Claire? I love Claire. She gave it a 7 out of 10. Plex, what's up, Plex? House Retract. She gave it a 7 out of 10. Anybody else? No, we'll just keep it going. Okay, so AK, you said you had another favorite part. So what was the other favorite part?
That was one that Monero said with the shot of Danny with Drogon's wings coming up just so perfectly in that shot. It was freaking brilliant. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, like I didn't like the writing this season, but what I have to give credit for is that the visuals and like the cinematography was just on point. It's probably the best like visuals they had this whole series. So I definitely was loving the visuals. So let's talk about Dany because it starts off with, you know what? Let's talk about Tyrion. Okay, this gonna be triggered for any Lannister lovers because we did see some disposed Lannisters at the beginning of this episode. But I'm just curious what did y'all thought about that scene or what perspectives you had. So Sam, you go first.
Okay, sorry, I was responding to fandom. In regards to Tyrion, I think this episode, we saw the real Tyrion. We got the Tyrion back from the first few seasons. He was smart. He was horrified by actions that were wrong. He was back to being true to himself. Like he was never for Joffrey or Tywin's actions. He supported Tywin simply because he really couldn't go against him in certain ways. But he always stood up to Joffrey, and I think once he realized that he had to face his fears when it came to Dany, and if he died, he died. He was back to the Tyrion that I remember falling in love with in the books.
Yeah. I think when it came to that, it was one the only thing that okay, I have to let you guys know my mind is kind of weird and how it works. And I pay attention to small details. So in my head, I was thinking back, I was like, okay, how did he get in the room if it all collapsed? But then it was like how, I don't know. I think I would have liked it more, and maybe I'm just a little fucked up. But if like it was gruesome to see Cersei and Jamie, maybe if their head was smashed in a little bit more, so it'd be like, oh, this is really messed up. But I got a weird mind. Beauty Queen, what did you think about the scene with Tyrion finding his siblings underneath the rubble?
I felt so bad. I felt so bad for him. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's family. At the end, you could fight, which, well, you saw me earlier
Mm-hmm.
fight, have an argument with my brother. You can have arguments and disagreements, and you can have like some sort of disdain for your family, but at the end of the day, they're still family. You know what I mean? And that was his brother and that was his sister at the end of the day. And despite whatever their history may have been, I think in that moment, he loved them. You know what I mean? And now they're gone. And I think it becomes really surreal that he is alone. He's, he'll never have his brother around anymore. You know what I mean? And say what you want about, his relationship with Cersei. I think Cersei in her own way, even though she couldn't stand him, she still probably loved him in her own way because she could never kill him. So to me, I think there was, no matter what their family dynamic was, and as messed up as it may have been, they're still family. And I think that I thought it was just very heartbreaking that he had to find them that way. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of sad when he started breaking down and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of the conversation he had with Sansa when she was like, it wouldn't work because, your loyalty is divided. And I feel like his loyalty was still divided with Dany and his siblings as well. Because even though he was trying to get Dany on the throne, in the back of his mind, he still was trying to get his sister and his brother out of the way. He was like, you're going to fail. You're going to lose. You need to get out of here. So I agree with you on that. AK, what about you in that scene?
And with Tyrion finding the bodies?
Yeah.
I'm questioning, with all the destruction that we saw dropping on their heads, why they weren't just extremely smushed in bloody pancakes.
Yeah, that was kind of weird for me. I was also thinking, like, how would he even get in there? Because the way it made it seem is that everything was collapsing. So I would just assume that it would have been tons of bricks. So it would have been hard for him to even get in there. But
yeah, they showed like a little space at the top of one.
Yeah,
of the
they did. Yeah, and I'm thinking that's what I thought when he saw that little gap, that he probably like threw some of the rocks, because I'm sure he didn't need that big a hole to crawl through. So
yeah, I'm also surprised like there wasn't huge piles of rubble everywhere. Yeah, I mean, if Jamie and Cersei would have stood maybe like 2 feet to the left, they might have made it. It was empty on the floor.
That still was a more merciful death than what Dany was going to do. So they still kind of, I mean, they died in each other's arms. So, but it was heartbreaking to see him like I think he was more troubled, even though he cared for Cersei as well. I think he was more troubled that Jamie was gone, because Jamie cared for him, and he set Jamie free knowing he would die. And what ended up happening is that Jamie died and he lived. So I know that had to mess him up. So moving along, let's go to when Dany's making this, like, I'm going to say she looked like a Nazi. I don't know if that was the vibe they was going for, but I was like, oh, Dany's lost it. So AK, let me start with you. What did you think of the whole scene of Dany just saying, you know what, we're still going for it, to Winterfell, to Dorne, to Lannisterport, everywhere. We're not stopping here. We're going to take over the world. What did you just think of the whole scene?
Yeah, the takeover of the world was going quite too far. Like you got a territory in Essos still already. You really don't need that much more. How do you really plan on even ruling all of that anytime soon? I think it would have been way too much for her to handle. as far as just like, going to the other cities in Westeros, I feel like it would end up being like Aegon. And, he had to pull that huge firestorm only one good time. And a lot of folks fell in line after that. So I don't think automatically going to wage war and burn everything down would have been the right tactic either. It's just, they served the Mad Queen narrative and they pushed it to the envelope in this one.
But see, the weird thing is I can actually see this happening in the books. Maybe not as fast as we saw it in the show, but I can see her getting lost in her ideals and thinking like, okay, they don't see it yet, but I see the vision and all they have to do is just trust in me. It's almost like season 1 where she's, was going into the fire and everyone's like, bitch, you kind of crazy. And she's like, no, you don't see it, but it's okay. And it's kind of like, that's kind of been her thing. Like she's had this forward thinking vision, but at the same time, I think she just looked so crazy. And it like last episode, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But then when you get that, okay, she kind of snapped. She looked like she had a tunnel vision and she's only looking for it. And she understands that people have to die in order for, like, it's kind of like with Littlefinger said to Sansa, like, you have to destroy to rebuild. And I think that's the vibe she was giving me. But what did you think, Sam? Or should I go to Beauty Queen?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, let's go.
So I actually had to write down her entire speech in English and then read it through because watching it, I wasn't reading the subtitles. Sorry. But yeah, I got Hitler vibes too from it. I think I said it when I was on AK's live reaction in the chats, and then I said it after. I was all with her until she started saying that the war wasn't over. And that, hold on, I have it written down here. There's a part where she says, the war's not over. We will not let down our spears until we've liberated all the people in the world from Winterfell to Dorne, from Lannisport to Karth, from the Summer Isles to the Jade Sea. Women, men, and children have suffered too long beneath the wheel. But basically, she's going to kill them all. So who's she liberating?
I thought it was weird that she called them liberators. It was like,
ugh. For me, it was just like when she said that, I was just like, whoa, hold on. These people have already fought to be free. First of all, the people of the North, the people of Winterfell have already fought to be free. The people of Dorne were always free to a certain extent. So I don't understand where you're going with this. And then I was kind of like, whoa. The only part in that whole thing, that whole opening of her little speech thing that got me was when she turned around and she walked out and Drogon's wings went. I was just like, whoa, that's an awesome scene.
Yeah, like I said, I gotta give it up for the visuals. And then also when I looked at it, I know a lot of people was like, where did all of these Dothraki and Unsullied come from? But I think, like, didn't she have 8,000 to begin with? And if they said they took out half, she would still have like 4,000. So it still would be a lot. And then when you look at the Dothraki, it's not that many of them. It looked like it was just 100 of them, to be honest. But Beauty Queen, what did you think about the whole Dany, I'm going to say Nazi speech?
You wouldn't be too far off saying Nazi speech. Yeah, you wouldn't be too far off. To me, it just made me have to go back into Dany's character arc, and I'm probably going to be blending a lot of what I read and probably what might have been in the show. So if there's something that I say that wasn't in the show, just kind of point that out to me. But it's just a culmination of things, right? She walked from the time that she walked into Drogo's funeral pyre and came out unscathed with 3 dragons. She was already sipping her own Kool-Aid. She already felt invincible, right? Every time Dany had to deal with a situation, she always used fire to do it. right? Which was a close parallel to her father, right? The only difference was her father only started doing it after his captivity in Duskendale. She started doing it from the beginning. You know what I mean? And I think by the time she burnt the city of King's Landing, that power, she got, for lack of a better term, got drunk off of it, the amount of power she was able to wield, that she now sees herself probably in earnest as someone who is actually freeing people from tyranny, even if it meant that she had to kill them. Killing them was a mercy, kind of like what the faceless God do. The faceless God, when they kill people, they're granting them a mercy.
That's
So
a good point.
it's kind of all of in that same vein. Anytime you see a dictator that does all of that, whenever they get into speaking that way, they truly believe that what they are doing is righteous, and that the murder of the cleansing, if you want to
Yes,
call it,
that's
because
a
that's what it was.
perfect word for it.
The cleansing of a group of people will pave the way for the future, because now you would have removed what you deemed to be a stain, in order to bring forth the new. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's what it started to. And I think, um, when she gave into her anger that last episode and decided she was going to burn,
Mm-hmm.
King's Landing, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what it is. She gave into that anger, and once she gave into it, she wielded a power that she felt invincible. She didn't feel like anything would get in her way, and to a certain degree, she was invincible.
Yeah.
She truly believed herself to be a dragon, and the visuals just all spoke to her idea of what was going on in her mind. She literally believed that she was a dragon, and that she was there to liberate and cleanse everybody. That was her role. That was her purpose. That was her destiny.
Yeah, that's a good ass analogy with the faceless man. Real quick, Lord Don Snow said Danny has her own ideals, and you wasn't with if you wasn't with it, you was going to get burnt. I agree. Major says, I told Danny to hurry up and go to Winterfell. She wouldn't listen to me, shaking my head. Danny got here, Alexander the Great on. Oh, Plex, dictators love calling themselves liberators. I agree. You guys are all making some really interesting point. Claire also had an interesting question. Was Danny around the same age as Viserys? Perhaps the coin flips around 17, 18. I know Varys was always depressed and nasty, but often so was Danny. I don't know if it's circumstances I think that they're okay. And then once they get pushed into these like super stressful situations over and over again, like something just clicks and they just go fucking crazy. But that's an interesting question. Sam, what do you think about that question?
I think she's, I don't want to say she's like Viserys, or even her father, because I don't think she's truly mad totally in that sense. I'll touch on it a little bit later if we get to that point. But I think in that moment, she's suffering from a great deal of depression, and she's suffering from a great deal of loss and grief, and she has no one there to kind of stop her. I think that's the problem. She has no one she trusts.
Mm-hmm. AK, what do you think about the question?
About Danny and Viserys.
The question was, do you think that around 17 or 18, that's when they start going crazy?
I don't know. I don't I don't think you can look at age for it, because Ares was well past that when he went through the Duskendale imprisonment, and that's when he started going crazy. Viserys has just always been ridiculous. Arya and Brightflame, he was an asshole and was already mad, I think, from birth.
That's
So
true.
for some of them, I don't think it like kicks in like, you know, when you turn 11, you get your magical powers and a letter from Hogwarts. I don't think it's that simple.
That's true. I think, like I said, I think it's they get pushed in those situations because even the Mad King was sane and normal until he was until I think he went to Duskendale or something like that.
Yeah.
So and then you have to also put in perspective that, you know, she goes to Westeros, loses a dragon in Winterfell, then comes to King's Landing, and then lose another dragon, and she's losing all these people. Part of me is like, okay, but you wanted to play the game. But I think when you put all of that in perspective, that she'll just turn into something crazy. Do you guys have anything else to say about the whole speech and her saying that she's basically going to keep liberating and dominate the whole world?
I have a question. Are we going to touch on the scene that comes after this or no?
Yeah, so the next will be Tyrion. We'll talk about.
Okay, so then I'll save my thoughts for if we bring up Arya and Jon, I'll save my thoughts till then.
Okay. Definitely will bring them two up. So moving along, we go to Tyrion, and he's like, we already saw the condition he was in once he saw his siblings down there. But I wondered, was he going to resign from Hand before he saw his brothers and sisters, or was he just going to resign after the whole thing she did, no matter what? I'll start with you, AK.
That's kind of a tough call.
Yeah, because I've been curious. I was like, it seemed like he was really emotional, and that was like the last straw for her. I mean, for him. But then at the same time, she just the plan was these people will surrender, and when they do, like, don't go off. And she just said F it and kept going. So I wonder, it probably is a combination, but I'm curious, was he going to resign no matter what, or do you think like the straw that broke the camel's back was his siblings? Good question.
I mean, right? Yeah, I don't know how to.
And
call
everyone
it.
in the chat, please answer that question as well, because I'm curious to what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely distraught with them, but he had to have known, even if he didn't find their bodies or get confirmation they made it to Essos or anything, I don't think he had any choice but to resign. And by resign, I mean go across the narrow sea into hiding for the rest of his life, because Dany knew that he had let Jaime go, and that's not an offense that she would have let pass, or, you know, keep him as Hand.
Yeah, that's interesting. Beauty Queen, what about you? What do you think?
I think it was a combination of them. I think he was probably going to end up. I think he already knew his life was forfeit the minute that he let Jaime go. I think he already knew that his days were numbered, and that Dany would find out, and that he would probably end up paying the price for that, based on his conversation with Jaime at the time that he let them go. But yeah, I think it was a combination of. But I think that the horror that she committed, finding his siblings, I think it just all boiled over. He probably wouldn't have resigned the way that he resigned, but I think it all boiled over, and he was like, you know what, you is to pieces.
But remember, Beauty Queen, in the last episode, he thought that if he did let his brother go, she might have forgiven him because she might not have to spill blood.
Well, yeah, but Jaime already told him that she's gonna kill you. He goes like, "Well, what's the life of one dwarf compared to the life of many?"
That is true.
It was he was taking a chance. He was just taking a chance. But I think his odds were very slim.
Yeah, I thought he was going to die, but then I said on Tony's stream, I was just being an asshole when I was like, no, he's not going to die, because that just doesn't make sense, and he didn't. So that was interesting. Sam, did I get to you? Did I ask you? So can you answer?
So with Tyrion, I think his his breaking point was after he heard the bells and Dany still burnt the city and he saw all those innocent people die for nothing. I think that was the point where he realized, okay, that's it. He knew when he freed Jaime that there was a risk that she would burn him. But I think after that, he just didn't care. He was like, nope, I can't do it anymore. I can't stand for it. I couldn't stand for it before. I killed my own father over less than this. No.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you another question because with Dany, she told him that they captured her brother. Do you think that was her testing his loyalty, or do you think that was a setup and that she knew he was going to take the bait?
I think it was a setup. I think the entire thing, I'm starting to think the entire thing was a setup. I think her and Grey Worm had a plan to test everyone's loyalties. Jon, Tyrion, Davos, the Northmen, everyone.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Shout out to Theories with Marie because I was watching her and Elamar stream last week, and she was saying how she thought Dany, it wasn't her going mad, but that they premeditated it. Beauty Queen, what do you think? Do you think she was testing to see if Tyrion would stay loyal, or do you think it was just a trap and she was just setting him up?
I could go either way with that, but I do agree that they had they never intended for anybody to, they intended to wipe everybody out. It's just, the way that everything was orchestrated, it just seemed to, yeah, they planned it. She never intended on taking surrender. I don't think that was ever the plan. They just, yeah. I'm gonna go. It was a set. I think it was all set up to kind of liberate.
She kills me with that liberate word. Like the way she said it, I was like, "Oh, this chick crazy, crazy." AK, what do you think? Do you think she It definitely seemed on purpose, but do you think she was trying to just test her loyalty to see if Tyrion, would be faithful to her, or do you think she set him up because she knew he was going to take the bait?
I think it's highly possible that she set him up. I mean, she basically took a page from his book, like the whole thing with Marcella going to Dorne, and how he played Pycelle, Littlefinger, and all of them. Dany just basically did the same thing. So I hadn't thought about it before, but that's a very good idea, and I see that as most likely.
Yeah, because she seems to know, like, she seems to think ahead a few steps. She's not dumb because she definitely caught on to what Sansa was doing, and Tyrion didn't even catch on to which Sansa was doing. So I just thought that was interesting. Do y'all have anything else you want to say about Tyrion resigning his hand?
I just wanted to say that I got that thought from Marie. I was on that stream, and after she said it, I rewatched, and I was like, huh. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, shout out to Theories with Marie. If y'all haven't heard of her, she's really dope, and she comes out with interesting perspective that makes me either want to rewatch it again just to see if I can tell where she's coming from. So shout out to Marie. So moving along, they take Tyrion in, and then we have the conversation with Jon and Tyrion about Dany and how she's going to threaten his sisters. How well, not threaten, but the whole taking over the world also includes your sisters. So he talked about will your sisters bend the knee. He talked about the death of Duty, which was a callback from like season 2 or 3, I think, with Maester Aemon. What else happened? But basically, discussion of what Jon was going to do because it was in his hand to stop this. I'll start with you, Sam. What did you think of the whole scene with Jon talking to Tyrion when he was locked up?
I think that's when we finally got the wise Tyrion back, the Tyrion that speaks and people listen. I also think that this was the turning point for Jon. I think as soon as Tyrion mentioned I think there's more than one point, but I think as soon as Tyrion mentioned his sisters and Winterfell, that was it. He realized, oh, okay, I have to stop thinking about just myself and seeing the good in Dany and start realizing I have to look out for my siblings because I didn't before. So I think that was the main point.
Yeah, definitely agree on that. I think that's because Jon, oh my God. Now, this is what I didn't like about Jon. Jon is pussy whipped, and he is so whipped. It's like, come on, dude. You saw all that destruction. He's like, no, she's still my queen. It's like, shut up. And then it had to be Tyrion to say, what about your sisters? And then it's like, oh shit, she will kill my sisters if they don't bend the knee. And she's threatened Sansa a few times already.
I think he was following Ned's example, but then as soon as Tyrion mentioned his family, he realized this isn't what Ned would do. Ned would protect the family.
Yeah, it's almost kind of mirroring when Ned was in the Black Sails and Varys was like, what about your daughters? So I thought that was cool. Beauty Queen, what did you think about the scene?
I don't have anything else to add. You guys pretty much said everything.
Okay. AK, what about you?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do definitely agree. I mean, he pulled a Ned move. This is exactly something that Ned would do in his reasoning all the way up to that point. So, you guys definitely summed it up.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree. Plex was like, she wished they gave Jon more dialogue. I think that was one thing I didn't care for this episode, which it didn't have that much dialogue that I thought it would have for it to be a series finale. So I'm with you on that. But since we don't really have much to say about that scene, let's just move it along to when Jon says, you know what? I gotta kill her. He goes to the throne. He talks to Dany. He's trying to, you can see in his eyes, he really doesn't want to do this. And he wants her to say something to make it seem like, you know what? She hasn't lost her marbles, that people aren't seeing what she's seeing. And then she just says no one gets to choose, like, I know what's good. And I thought that was crazy because you don't know these people in Westeros, and that's the reason why you were failing most of the wars, because you didn't know these people, you didn't know the land. So I thought it was crazy that she says, because she knows what's good. And it's like, you just burnt people, like, you don't know obviously what's good. And then because she and this is, I will say, I appreciate it. I wish the season was a few more episodes so it would make a little bit more sense. Not make more, yeah, make more sense that she went such a dark route. Oh, I'll go back to that. I'll go back to that, Sam. Let's just talk about that scene, and then we'll go back to Arya. Just remind me, Sam. Thanks. But we see that she actually, you know what? Damn it, Sam. I need to go to that because that doesn't make any sense. Sorry, we're live. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to when Jon was talking to Arya. I love how Arya just pops out of nowhere. That shit kills me. And I knew she was going to be right there. The second the camera, I was like, Arya creepy ass is going to be right there. He like, what the fuck are you even doing here? It's like, I tried to kill a queen, but that chick took care of it. And I don't know if that also helped with the reason for why he knew he had to get rid of her. But what did y'all think of the Arya Jon talk? I'll throw it to you, Sam, since you reminded me.
Okay, so I think that this conversation was important in a lot of Jon's decision making thereafter, because Arya comes up and she tells him why he's there and whatever, and she says, "You're queen," and then Jon says, "She's all of our queen now," and Arya says, "Yeah, try telling Sansa."
Mm-hmm.
And Jon was like, "Yeah, wait for me outside of the city. I'll come and find you." And then Arya reminds him, and I have the quote of what Arya says because I think it totally changed Jon's thinking 100%. She was like, "Jon, she knows who you really are, and you will always be a threat to her. And I know a killer when I see one."
That's interesting because Sansa also said that to John when it came to Ramsay, and he's like he's not gonna let Rickon live because he's always a threat, just like he wasn't gonna let John live because you're gonna always be a threat to his title. So that's interesting.
And I think that scene. I also think that Jon and Tyrion, I don't think even Davos, I think Davos might have been up there too. They didn't understand fully what Dany was saying in that whole thing. But I think because Arya was trained by the Faceless Men, Arya understood everything Dany said, and Arya knew this isn't good.
Yeah, I mean, even when you think about, John is so fucking slow. Sometimes it drives me crazy. Like, I get it, John knows nothing, but he really don't know shit. It's like you heard the same. It goes back to the conversation Tyrion had with John, where he was like, "You not hear what she said? She's going to Winterfell." Like she mentioned Winterfell first because she in the back of her head, she's like, I gotta take Sansa out. And I'm going to say this: if I was Dany, I would take Sansa out because she will always be a threat. She's gonna always try to find a way to take her down, no matter what. I get it. So definite.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What did you? Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, I was agreeing with you.
So, Beauty Queen, what did you think about Arya and Jon talking about Dany being a killer, and about how he's always going to be a threat to her?
I thought it was a conversation that needed to be. I think he needed to hear it more than once. But I think as much as Arya would have said it to him, I don't think it was. I don't know how impactful, at least in my opinion, I don't know how impactful it was because he already knew that Arya didn't like her. So she probably might have been saying it because of the fact that he doesn't like her. I mean, she doesn't like her. So, but I think that it really started to play more after his conversation with Tyrion because now
You okay?
I don't know if I'm making sense.
No,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm
going.
making sense.
No,
I'm just trying to make sure that I say it in such a way where it doesn't sound like I'm being confusing. But
always
thank you for co-signing.
That's
Sorry
how
about that.
the show.
I think I'm glad that Arya got to say that to him because it needed to start the wheels turning. But I don't know if it was really impactful because he already knew that Sansa didn't like Dany. So it's kind of like almost expected that she would talk against Dany, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Compared to Tyrion, who was one of Dany's chief supporters. And for him to have to say, yo, this chick is really crazy. You need to do something about that. You need to do something. You have the power to do something about that. I think was probably more impactful because if I don't like somebody and I talk against that person, I don't know how impactful my words are compared to somebody who likes somebody and now they don't like them. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I thought.
Yeah, I get that totally. Because what I will say with when it comes to John is that I get that they want to, hold on to his honor and stuff, but it's like, why do people have to tell you like 8, 10 times something for it to click? Like, John ain't that damn slow. AK, what did you think about the scene?
Arya basically gave him the ultimatum that you would expect Arya to give. Dude, you see what this fuck shit is happening? You know who you are. She knows who you are. If you don't kill her, I will.
Pretty much. And I would have let Arya do like, go ahead, because John, I felt bad that he had to be the one to do it, because especially in the next scene. But I really wanted Arya to be the one. Like, look, she know who you are. Let me throw on this face real quick. Shank, shank. Do what I gotta do. We could be out of here. You meet me at the gate. I ain't meeting you at the gate.
That would have been the smarter way to do it because then there really wouldn't have been any type of trial against Jon, I don't think. Because Arya could have got in, did the job, disappeared. Bro, meet me on the King's Road and we'll head back north. And
Right.
no one would have suspected Jon at all.
We won't get into Jon, because when I say Jon is the dumb, when I call Jamie the golden dumbass, I don't know, but Jon's a dumbass. I got to give him a special dumbass name. Maybe you guys can help me out with that, but
Dumbass Snow.
Dumbass Snow?
Or dumbass Leroy Jenkins.
We'll call him Dumbass Snow, because that's got a nice ring to it, because he did some stupid shit. So do y'all have anything else you want to say about Arya and Jon's convo before we talk about what happens next? Okay, so
No.
we move forward, and this is what I was talking about earlier, but this is the scene where Jon's actually in the throne room with Dany, and she's talking about, oh, I couldn't count to 20. To me, it's like you sounding kind of stupid, but that's just me being ignorant. But she was talking about, like, her hearing the stories about the throne. It's not what it seems like, and then she really looks crazy. Like, I'll give her credit. She plays crazy well. And then Jon has the conversation with her. You can see he's pleading with her to say something that makes sense, that doesn't seem deranged and crazy. She failed. And then he ends up killing her. So, and then after that, Drogon senses it. That was kind of fucked up when he was trying to, like, nudge her and she wasn't moving. And then after that, he burns the Iron Throne, which I thought was stupid, but hopefully maybe one of you guys thought it was interesting, or, shed some light on it to make it make sense to me. So AK, let's start with you with the whole throne room scene.
I couldn't see it going any other way once Jon had made the decision. And as soon as, she got close and they started kissing, and he actually reciprocated that kiss, which should have been a red flag for Dany, but she wasn't paying attention and, stabbed to the gut. I saw that coming as soon as the opportunity arose. And Drogon coming in and finding her was very sad. But again, like I said in our intro, this really showed the true intelligence of a dragon. He knows Jon has the shares blood with his mom. So I think he, chose to look and see what the true matter of the situation was. And it was that damn throne that ended up getting her killed in the end. So he burned it and got rid of it. And I had always thought there wouldn't be an Iron Throne at the end of this, so I was all for it. I love them showing how he basically came in like Monk and just assessed the situation. And, he made the right choice, in my opinion. Jon should technically be dead, but I like that Drogon deduced it down to the chair.
Yeah, first of all, I love the show Monk, so I just love the fact that you threw that out there. Second of all, I hated this scene. I thought it was stupid that he assessed the situation, and instead of burning the person who was right there, he's like, no, let me go for the Iron Throne. I think it would have made more sense if Dany, being so caught up in her power things, like, you know what, F this chair, burn it. I'm not going to stop here. I'm going everywhere. But the fact that he didn't kill Jon, I was like, this don't make no damn sense to me. Like, you didn't see it, but you saw Jon, a pool of blood and a knife, but you think the Iron Throne chair did it? Like, how smart is this dragon? So I don't know. That kind of, I hated that scene. I'm not even gonna lie. Beauty Queen, what did you think about it?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was well done. I just like you said, I think Jon was going through a lot of internal conflict because he knew what needed to be done, but he was looking for an out not to have to do it. He was trying to appeal to the person that he initially fell in love with. But that person was no longer there. You know what I mean? Duty is the death of love. Love is the death of duty. And he knew if he didn't stop her then that, it would have more dire consequences. I thought it was just well done. And the fact that Drogon, burnt the throne, I think I'm gonna go agree with AK. I think that chair was a cursed chair. Anybody who sought after that chair dies. It's just a cursed chair. And I think that Dany and Drogon share a connection. They are intertwined. They're more than just a dragon and a dragon rider. They are connected to each other. And so I think at the moment that that she she died, he sensed that. I thought he was going to kill Jon, but I wasn't surprised that he didn't kill Jon. I think, again, I'm going to go with what AK said. I think the true enemy wasn't really Jon. The true enemy was really the chair. I know that in normal reasoning that, yeah, he probably should have killed Jon, but I can understand why he didn't do it. Because killing Jon wouldn't bring Dany back anyway. His mom was gone. So he took his mom and he flew off. At first I was thinking, oh, Drogon, you petty. Oh, since my mama can't have the chair, nobody can have it.
Maybe that's what it was, but I just couldn't get why he would burn the chair, but not Jon. Like, I don't know, but I guess I'm gonna be solo on that. What do you think, Sam?
So I think that I think this scene was amazing. I think it spoke to everything I kind of wanted to see a little bit. But I think the reason Drogon didn't kill Jon is two things. I think he sensed Jon's Valyrian blood, first of all. He's a Targ. They have a connection. Jon rode his brother. He knows Jon. I think also, on the other hand, I think he sensed Jon's sadness and his sorrow for doing what he had to do. Because Jon didn't want to do it. You could tell he was crying. He was holding Dany. He was affectionate and hurt in that moment. I think Drogon sensed that. And along with what AK was saying, these dragons are super intelligent, because that's what I was getting the whole time I was seeing it. I was seeing him looking at the situation and saying, no, he didn't do this, to hurt her. He did this to save her in a way. And I think Drogon knew all of this was for this place, this chair, this whatever. This chair isn't what she wanted at the beginning. This was my mom. She wanted to save people. So I'm going to take her to somewhere that's peaceful. And I think that, that's why he picks her up and leaves with her. And I cried during that scene. So it was pretty intense to watch and rewatch a couple of times. But I think that Drogon is far more intelligent than we think he is.
Yeah, maybe that's what I just hate, is that it didn't make sense, like, for him to burn it. I just don't see them being that intelligent. But moving on to what
real quick, T, there's a question.
Yeah, I was about to get to that.
Okay, cool. All right, go ahead.
So shout out to Celadiva. She had a question. She said, back in episode 1 or 2, do you think Drogon was giving Jon the side eye because he always knew Jon had to do what Jon had to do? AK, you started off.
I don't think he sensed that exactly, but I think he might have sensed that something was wrong or maybe slightly askew. But I don't think it's because he has green seer powers and can see where it's going.
Okay, Sam, what about you? What do you think?
No, I don't think he was giving Jon the side eye because he knew what Jon had to do. I think he was giving him the side eye because Dany is his mom for all intensive purposes. And I think he was just like, yo, what the hell are you doing with my mom? That's it.
And Beauty Queen, what do you think?
I agree with them. I don't think, he was just being what normal kids do when they see their mom with the new guy. If Drogon could talk, he probably would say, you're like the fourth guy she's been with.
He just gonna say. That's terrible. Don't be telling your mama business like that.
I think he was looking at him because he was like, I'm not gonna call you dad. Just so you know, let's establish that right now.
Yeah, I was getting that vibe too. Like, I don't know. But that's actually a good question. So dumbass Snow had to tell him on himself because the body was gone. There was a pool of blood. So maybe I really wish they would have shown like either someone walking in on it and seeing the blood and it's like, what's going on? And you see the fire and everything. But I guess the way that they shot it, it just made it seem like Jon told on himself, which I don't know why. Maybe it's his honor, but that wouldn't have helped anything. It would have been better if he just said, you know what, she flipped out and left. But then they probably would have questioned her on that either. I don't know. I just hate the fact that they didn't show how he got caught and left it for interpretation because it seems like he just told on himself. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I was confused when everyone was saying that he told on himself. But then I thought about it and I was like, it's probably something Jon would do.
Right, like, come on, stop being goofy.
But then we have to remember, for all intents and purposes, he's Ned Stark's son, and Ned Stark would have done the same exact thing.
I don't know. Like,
yeah,
Ned
he would have.
But then you think about that scene with Howland Reed, and how they oh Lord, who was they fighting?
Arthur Dane.
Yeah, and how it wasn't the way they thought it was, how it went down. So I don't know. I don't know if he would have said something.
Yeah, but Jon doesn't know that. Jon just
No,
knows
I'm just
that.
saying I don't think Ned would have said something, but Jon,
But
I
from
just
what
thought those.
Jon knows, of Ned, Ned always told the truth. Ned died telling the truth. Ned risked his life to tell the truth, and that's all Jon knows.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think Ned would have done it, but I get what you're saying about Jon doing it. It's still stupid to me, but Beauty Queen, what do you think? Do you think he
I think
told
it
on
was,
him?
if he told on himself, he probably did it probably in the hopes thinking that they would probably kill him. I don't think he was expecting to live, and he probably did it hoping to die. I think when they were in the throne, he was probably expecting Drogon to burn him. Was probably surprised that Drogon didn't. And I think he did it because he was probably expecting that they would execute him. I think he was probably hoping to die. I don't think yes, he was being honest, but I think it was kind of like that, I'll tell and they can kill, they can off me and this could end type of deal.
You just thinking like after he did it, he just wanted out. He didn't want to deal with it no more.
Yes, because that was a very hard thing for him to do. And I don't want that to be understated. You know what I mean? He essentially committed murder, even though it was for the greater good. But I mean, I know that had to mess him up because that's not who he is as a person. You know what I mean? And that goes total. Even when Tyrion goes to see him to let him know that he has to go, he's still doubting himself. Like, did I do the right thing? It doesn't feel like I did the right thing. So he probably was like, you know what? They'll probably kill me, and then this will be over, and I don't have to worry about anything. And I think that's probably what was happening because he was filled with a lot of, confusion and anger and doubt. So, yeah.
Yeah, which you know what, it is messed up what he had to do. So I understand that he would just want to be done with it, especially his decision at the end of the episode. But I just think that I don't know. It's like it when you see him do certain things like that, to me it shows that he might not have been a good king. Like even though you have good intentions, doesn't mean you're up for the job. So I don't know. AK, what do you think?
And that about wraps it all up. One of my favorite memes, like I was saying the other day, is Jon looking completely exasperated, and it's the look on it says, you know, how Jon Snow looks every time he gives up a title, and they keep giving him a higher title after he tries to walk away. He was just tired and done with it, you know, like he told Sansa, ever since he left Winterfell, all he was been doing is fighting. And that takes its toll, you know. It's almost like the broken man speech in the book. It only takes one last thing to break someone. And I don't think he expected to live. So, you know, either way, though, he was going to go down doing what needed to be done. And again, it's a very Ned move in his thinking, in my opinion. That's it.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to say or speak about, add on to the whole scene with Jon killing Dany, that whole throne scene? We're good.
I
No,
just have
not that scene in particular, no.
I have one thing. The comments, Miss Witch was saying, asking if Jon's considered a Queenslayer. I don't think the people of the Westeros Sea people will see him as that, because simply knowing that Dany burnt King's Landing and all those innocent people, I don't think they'll see him as a Queenslayer or a Kinslayer or any of those things, because he saved people. That was it.
Well, they would think of him as a kinslayer, but who does think of him as a queenslayer is Grey Worm in them. That's
Yes.
why so yeah, he might be considered. I mean, he's considered a queenslayer to her people, but maybe not to Westeros, because I don't think I think she only had the throne for like a day before she was killed, right? It's like the time I get confused with, like, if a day went by, a few days went by. So I don't know if she just like she only had the throne for a day and then she died, or what the case was. Do you guys know, or was it like a?
To be fair, I don't think it really matters, because the only people in King's Landing left were her people and the northern men that came with Jon. So I don't think anyone knows.
Well, I mean, the people who were there, like Jon and his people, know, and of course,
I don't think it was a day. I think it was pretty much probably in a span of a few hours, because she burned the city down, and after all of the embers were done, I don't think a full day had passed
so I don't think they
after
would.
it happened.
Yeah,
So
it would be towards her people thinking he's a queen slayer than the people of Westeros. AK, you got anything to add?
No, I think that sums it up also.
All right, so we talked about Dany getting killed, Arya talking to Jon talking to Tyrion. So now time has passed, and all the lords have been summoned to King's Landing. And we get the scene where Tyrion's basically telling people, no, the whole scene. Let's just talk about the whole damn thing. So we got all the we got all the lords and ladies coming to meet up to I guess to see what's next, because even Grey Worm didn't know that they were going to choose a king. He just I don't know who summoned them. Most likely it was Davos or someone that sent ravens out or something to summon these people. I just can't see it being Grey Worm, because I don't think he would know the system and stuff like that. But anyway, they got summoned there, and I know people hate Sansa, but I love how she was like, and Arya, they were both about it when it came to their brother. I love the fact that Arya was like telling Grey Worm, like, don't you know we got Northerners out here? Where's Jon at? And I love when Arya shut down Yara, and she was like, if you talk about my brother one more time, I will kill you. I don't know, maybe because I'm a sibling and I have brothers, and I'm like, if someone was talking like that, I would probably reacted just like those girls. So I kind of love that. But we get the whole selecting your own ruler, which I thought was cool. I loved, like I said, this probably was my favorite scene out of the whole series, because not series but episode, because one, I love when Sansa told Edmure to sit down. It's like she was reading my mind, because when he got up and I was like, don't do it, and he got up I was cracking up. And then, of course, I like the Arya shutting things down. I thought it was kind of messed up. They kept calling Bran the Broken over and over again. If I was Bran, I'd been like, chill out, y'all, chill out. But what did y'all think about that whole, just everything about this scene? I'll start with you, AK.
There were a lot of parts there that I thought were funny that had to do with Edmure. I appreciated, the book nod to the small, not the small, but like the Grand Council to choose who the next leader was. I appreciated seeing little Sweet Robin actually looking like he kicked puberty in the face. His voice got deep and he's all sitting pretty boy and shit. I still don't know who the fuck this random ass Prince of Dorne is. They never explained that. I don't like
everyone's name.
And I have no idea who the hell was sitting next to Edmure. He was just a random guy sitting there.
Also, who was the guy sitting next to Gendry?
Exactly, like say their names, like I, House Successor came here. I da da da. Like you can't assume that we're going to know who these people are because a lot of lords died. Mm-hmm. So it's like, come on. Let me shut up. Continue, AK.
That was pretty much it. I will pull in, shout out to Teflon. He was asking on Twitter earlier, how is it that in the same episode that Grey Worm kills prisoners of the Queen on the Queen's orders, but when you have the two people that are responsible for your Queen's death in your eyes and you don't kill them, you wait for Lords of Westeros who you don't give a fuck about anymore because your queen is dead to come down and say, what should be done with them? That didn't make sense to me. It doesn't. That's me that was looking at that.
But then usually Dany doesn't hold prisoners either, so I thought that was strange too. But then she also died, so let me shut up. I keep forgetting that. That's fucked up. Beauty Queen, what about you? I ain't shit.
Yeah, I like the whole. I liked everything about that scene. I liked Edmure being Edmure. I totally thought that was cool. I like the way Arya told Yara that she would cut her throat, and that look on Yara's face like, you don't know me, then I'm crazy. I'm about that life. I am about that life. Say one more thing. I love the way that Sansa was like, "Where's Jon? Where he at?"
Right, like
we are about that life. Mm-hmm. I see Tyrion, but where's my brother at? Like, we are about that life. And I think Grey Worm didn't kill them because it was a very smart move on his part, because if he had killed those two, him and them, I don't care how skilled the Unsullied are, the whole entire of Westeros coming down on them would not be a good look for them.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have been a good look for them to have killed Jon or Tyrion, because they probably would have rained down more than they probably needed. And again, I don't care how gifted the Unsullied or the Dothraki think they are, at some they would be decimated by the entire kingdom.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And Yara, you only got like 2 ships, so I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you, because if you think about the Long Night, they were taken out by pure numbers. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Sam, what about you?
So yeah, I have the same problem with the unnamed lords, and also, are there not more lords? Because like, if you're only having the great houses there, then Bronn probably should have been there, even though I don't know how he's the Lord of the Reach still and how he's not dead for trying to kill people. But like, you had like people from the same area, like Brienne of Tarth and Davos are both from the Stormlands, and Gendry's the Lord of Storm's End now. Mm-hmm. And you had what's his name? What is Robin Arryn's protector person? He was there with Robin Arryn. Yeah, Royce. They're both from the Eyrie. You had Edmure there. You had a random guy there. You had random people everywhere who I don't know. And like, I think the only one who said, "Well, hey, I don't know if I get a vote, but I'm for it," was Davos. Davos was like, I don't think I get a vote here, but I'm gonna vote anyways. And that was funny to me, along with the Edmure scene, because Sansa telling him to sit down was probably my favorite thing. And then her little
looking at him, like, if you look at that scene again and you look at Arya, Bran, and Sansa's face, like how they, especially Bran's face, Bran was like, "What is you doing?" Arya's like,
Sam
really?
even laughed at him. Sam was just like, oh. And then Sansa just
he came in claiming to be a veteran of 2 wars. No, dumbass, you got lucky with 1 battle, 1, and then you were in prison. You know, fucking veteran of war. Shut the hell up.
and then if you looked closely, after Sansa said what she said, she kind of gives him like an eye thing, like, sit down. Like, you know when you tell a child to sit down and they're not, and you're just like, sit down because you don't want to make like a scene. That's what she was doing. And it was hilarious to me. Absolutely hilarious. I laughed the entire time. I think that was the only point where I laughed so hard in this episode. I think it was stupid that Jon wasn't brought down, but Tyrion was. But then I understand it at the same time. These people didn't want to start a fight with the Unsullied. Yara and Arya, I don't understand why it's the 6 kingdoms, because Yara already got her independence. Yara was already independent, and they never said shit about Dorne. Dorne is not part of the 7 kingdoms.
Dany must have forgot, because in her speech she said 7 kingdoms, so somehow she took it back.
She took it back, and so now Yara is under, the 7 kingdoms again. She's not independent, and the new Prince of Dorne was sitting there like, yeah, cool, do whatever you want. We're still free and independent. And then they were all like, kind of like questioning Sansa when she said she wanted independence, but like Dorne's been independent the whole damn time, and clearly they know what they're doing because they didn't have this war. So
wouldn't the Dorne still be independent?
They are still independent. They said 6 kingdoms.
Because they took out the North.
Yeah, that's because
they took out the North.
Yeah, they're still counting Dorne.
No, they're not. They're not counting Dorne, because Dorne was never part of the 7 kingdoms. It was always the 7 kingdoms and Dorne. Yeah, they always said it before.
Dorne's like, I don't care. We still free over here.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. I think that's what the new Prince of Dorne was doing while he was sitting there, just kind of like nonchalantly, like lounging, which kind of brought me back to Oberyn, which made me laugh. Like, he acted so much like Oberyn did in the first couple of like scenes that we got him in. It was like, oh, okay. So, I like that.
Actually, like people are saying in the chat, and I'm thinking about it now, Dorne is still a part of the kingdom because of all the stuff that happened with Oberyn. That was them bringing Dorne back into the fold at that point, because that conversation with him and Tywin when they were walking through King's Landing about talking to whatever seat he was taking on the small council. So it's the North that they're not counting in.
Hold on. Wait, correct me if I'm wrong though. The Stormlands, the Stormlands, the Reach, Casterly Rock, the Westerlands, sorry, the Eyrie, the Riverlands, I'm missing the Iron Islands. That's 6. 7 was with Westeros, and 8 was with Dorne. And the Crownlands don't count because the Crownlands were under whoever's rule.
Yeah, I agree with Sam. Dorne was never conquered. It was accepted to be a part of the kingdom when Daeron the Good got married to one of their princesses. They came under the fold, but they were never really a part of the 7 kingdoms. They were always just an add-on. So it was the 7 kingdoms there was the 7 kingdoms, and then there was Dorne, because Dorne was never Dorne, for all intents and purposes, never conquered by the Targaryens. Yeah, we could talk about, the dragon heart Kai, but we all knew that ended up being a ruse, and they they just pretended to bend the knee, and then they ended up killing him anyway. So yeah, I have to agree with Sam. I don't think Dorne was ever really part of the original Seven
And they
Kingdoms.
and they were always called the princes of Dorne, whereas everyone else was lord or lady of whatever area. So, I mean, I think I'm getting some shit
Either way,
in the
it's irrelevant because at that point, if they wanted their independence, they should have said something and they didn't. I think Sansa was the only one who spoke up, and at that moment, everyone could have spoken up for their independence, but they were cool. So it's irrelevant at this moment. Um, but Beauty Queen, did you talk about this scene?
Yeah, I said I liked everything. I didn't want to belabor it.
You know who's pissing me off? Grey Worm. Grey Worm was pissing me off. And I get it. I get that he's mad because he came to this country and he's been losing ever since. But he was pissing me off because I'm like, it's not your place. As bad as you're hurting, you're not the only one who's hurted throughout this whole series. So he was just driving me nuts, y'all. I was like, Grey Worm, sit down.
I think what he didn't realize is he was counting on Danny, and him and Danny went on this vengeance rampage, and it didn't work out the way that they thought it was. And now you got to eat a lot of crow.
AK, did you speak on it?
For the most part, yeah, but I do want to bring up, since we're at this scene and Bran was involved in this, earlier Plexi had asked, with Bran as the king now, how do you think the Children of the Forest got roped into assisting Bloodraven and eventually Bran? Like, how do you think this will go in the books?
I don't like. Okay, so Martin, he wrote on his not a blog thing where he said things are going to be similar, but not, but kind of, but not. So I don't know. I honestly never thought that he would leave that tree. So it's kind of, I can't really process. Like, I really think the third big like twist is Bran on the throne. So honestly, I can't see it. Something terrible has to happen for Bran to leave. Maybe in the books, Bloodraven actually transfers his mind into Bran and leaves or something like that. I don't know. I always thought in the books that Bran seemed like he was going on a dark path, but honestly, that's a good question. I honestly don't. I don't know, to be honest. What do you think, AK?
Let's see. I can't call it. I don't know what the children did. See, I don't think Bloodraven was really the one in charge there. I think it was always the children. I think they tricked him into getting stuck in that cave. And wherever Bran is concerned, Bran played the long con in the show, and nobody saw that shit coming. So it is possible, I think, that he does make it out the cave in the book, but there'll be some battle for his mind, I think, between Bloodraven and him. You know, it's lightweight set up to be that. You know, he's talking about when he gets back, he's all extra emo, like, you know, I'm something else now. But now here, where they're asking him to be king, he's like, well, why do you think I came all this way? The fuck you mean? Why did you come all this way, Bran? The whole season, I've been wondering what the fuck you been doing, and now I'm looking like, oh, okay, so this was part of the plan.
Yeah, that
Why
was
you let
stupid
all
too.
these motherfuckers die when you could have found a much easier and better path to all of this. It's just, Bran was extra. I don't know that it'll happen like this in the books, but I could see how it would, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like I can see certain things happening, but how they get there based on what's in the books, because the show, it's so minimal that it's so many different things in the book that's going on in the book for me to say, oh, well, maybe it's this. It's kind of hard because I honestly never saw Bran sit in the Iron Throne. Like, that never crossed my mind. And he's my favorite character, and that never crossed my mind. That's a good question. Sam, did you answer it?
Yeah, I did.
Beauty Queen?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It was saying, AK, what was the question again? Something about the children in the forest and Bran. AK, what was the question?
My bad. Sorry, I was muted. Saying, if with Bran being king now, how do you think the Children of the Forest got roped into assisting Bloodraven and eventually Bran? Do you think that it will happen in the books that Bran is king of the realm?
It's quite possible that it'll be that way, but I'm sure the road to him becoming king will be totally different because, the book can take its time in developing that route, where the show didn't have that time. So it had to do a very abridged version of it. So, which I'm okay with because it's the show, it's a television show. So I expect that a lot of things will not be there, and so we have to just fill in the blanks. So I um I think also for me, the way that I interpreted the way that Bran was out throughout the season, to me, is I think he's constantly evolving and learning about about his newfound powers, where he was probably in the beginning only getting glimpses of certain things that were happening in the future and in the past. Probably those visions were getting longer and longer and extended and more extended, where he could get a fuller or more bigger picture of things. And also, you have to be the way that I see the way that Martin, writes things, and from some of the interviews that he's had, you know, you have to be very careful with, and prophecies and all this other stuff, because if you go and you interject things, and Mel is a very good example of that. If you go and you try to change the path of something, you don't necessarily change the outcome. You probably just divert it in where it happens in a different way. Like if somebody dies and you try to do something to prevent that person from dying, it doesn't mean that that person won't die. You probably just change the course of how they die. Maybe they would have died in their sleep, but because you intervene, now they're probably going to get killed. It's just sometimes uh, the end of something will always be the end. I think it also Raven also said as much to Bran. I think was it season 6 that he told him that he can't change the past to try to fix the future. You can't alter a timeline without there being some sort of a consequence. So even if he did see a lot of the things that were happening, he probably wouldn't have been able to do anything to change it. He probably might have just changed the course of how they happened, but they probably would have happened anyway. At least that's just how how I understand it to be, based on Martin's writing and based on, the show.
In the chat, Peter Griffin just said something interesting. He said Bran pretty much pulled an Aegon the Fifth with for how Aegon Fifth did Bloodraven. He did that with Jon, and I agree with that. How Cersei was saying, she let her enemies destroy each other. I think that was also part of Bran's master plan in the grand scheme of things, and he, went ahead and let all that shit happen, and then got rid of Jon, and there it is. It seems a lot like he might have been body snatched and just playing the part that he needed to play to get him on the throne. And the reasoning for that, I would really like to know, but I don't think we'll ever get that reason. It's interesting.
Okay.
I have
Arya,
a question quickly.
go ahead.
Just because me and Drinks are going back and forth, me and Luke. Was the Riverlands ever considered a kingdom? You guys are far more knowledgeable than I am. I forget things.
Riverlands?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
they were
good.
because they used to be under the Iron Islands around the time of the guy who built Harrenhal. I can't say his name
Heron
right.
the Black.
Right. But when by the time of Aegon's conquest, the Riverlands were no longer under the Iron Islands. They were considered their own separate
Mm-hmm.
kingdom, and they fell under, and then they happened to fall under houses. So they were their own separate region. So when you have the Riverlands, the Westerlands, the Reach, the Vale, the North, and then you have all those other things that fall under, the Stormlands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They all fall under their own little separate areas. The Riverlands was their own separate area. They just happened, I think, before Aegon. I believe they were under the Iron. They were
Yeah, that's
kind of
correct.
like under the Iron Islands,
That's correct.
if I remember my history correctly. And then after Aegon, the Iron Islands were their own separate thing, and then the Riverlands were their own separate thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
The Riverlands were, they were headed by House Tully. They were the High Lords of that region.
Okay, so let's move forward because I kind of want to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. So let's move forward and let's just talk about the ending. We see Sansa is now Queen of the North. We see that Jon left to go to the wall, which at first I was like, that's so messed up. But I actually liked how it ended with Jon when Jon saw the gates closing, and it's that moment he's like, I could go back, but he's like, why? And then I loved it because Bran's not going to try to chase him if he deserts the Night's Watch. Sansa's not going to chase him, and they don't really. When you think it towards the end, he's on the north side, so that would be Sansa's territory. So I don't think they would even have anything to say when it comes to North when he left. So I love that part. We saw that Arya is going west of Westeros. I like that she's doing the adventure thing, but maybe I don't know, because I'm like, you could easily ask your brother because he sees everything. But I guess she's an explorer. She wants to explore. What else? We saw Tyrion's now hand. We saw Bran is now they actually gave him Highgarden. And Sam, to answer your question earlier, I think that Bran wasn't given Highgarden at that time when they were all meeting. That's why he wasn't there, which would make more sense. Bran. I hate Bran, y'all. I'm sorry. I just never liked his character.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's still so ridiculous that Ron actually got the reach. What the
They
hell?
were giving Highgarden to everyone because they were trying to give it to the Unsullied. And I'm like, this is the richest house. Because in the show, I'm going to say in the show, the Lannister doesn't have gold, so it's not the richest house anymore. It's Highgarden. So I'm like, why y'all keep giving the richest house away? Like that just seems foolish to me. But go ahead, AK.
That's also the kingdom's source of food.
Yeah,
Yes, let's give it to a sellsword.
exactly. What the hell does Braun know about any of that?
He
That
doesn't. You
was
saw
It,
him
does,
try
it, doesn't, it doesn't matter what he knows. He just what matters is he knows that he is in a position of power and he can bargain. That is where I think that there probably should have been a little bit more thought given to that,
Yeah,
because
Mhm.
already knows what Braun is not stupid by
not
any
at
stretch
all.
of the
No, he's
imagination.
not.
Okay, so he knows what he's sitting on. So he knows he has bargaining power. He has a lot of bargaining power because he knows what he sits on, and he knows that he is pretty much kind of like a major lifeline for the rest of the kingdom. So yeah,
He better be careful though, or he might get that Martell treatment and wind up dead in his bed. It's just honestly, it was miraculous to me that Tyrion didn't just kill him when it was over, and they actually gave him such a powerful region to rule over. So I mean, my issue is Bron's not stupid. You're right. I do not think that he's dumb or uneducated in any way. You know, he grew up on the streets, so he definitely knows what's what. But when it comes to the politics that they're going to have to go through and running everything, keeping folks in line in all places, it just seems sketchy that Bron would be the one put in charge of all of that. But you know, meh.
I feel.
They did what they did.
What'd you say?
I said they did what they did.
Yeah, it was just like, really? We're gonna start the new kingdom off this way? Okay. Beauty Queen, what about you? What did you think of the whole ending where everyone kind of went their separate ways? We saw Sansa become queen, Bronn, the new small council, all of that.
I cheered it. I thought that it was the perfect ending for everybody. I think everybody got their perfect ending. I thought I wanted to see Jon go back north. I wanted to see him go far north because that's where he belongs. And at that moment when I saw him riding off into the Wolfswood, not the Wolfswood, the forest,
The
I was
haunted
like,
forest.
yo, he's giving me so much Mance Raider vibes. That's what he was giving me. Like he was really giving me Mance Raider vibes, and I'm like, I hope now he can truly be at peace because I think that's all he really wanted, and that's what he's getting. And so, I thought that was great. I was glad to see that Sansa got crowned Queen of the North. She finally has reached a point in her life where she is beholden to nobody. Nobody can use her anymore. She is the master of her own fate, and nobody can use her to their own end anymore. And so I was really glad to see that. And I really, in my mind, I was like, I know she's going to be a great queen for her people. So I was really glad to see that. I was really glad to see Arya sailing off, because I think that's really what her spirit is. And I think it's like a callback. There is a callback to one of her ancestors. I keep thinking about Theon, but it's not him. There is another one of her son's ancestors that was, that did do the sea thing. And so, and she's probably also in the same line of what her aunt probably was, somebody who was adventurous, who just, was full of life. And I was glad to see that for her. I love the whole small council thing. It just made my heart so happy. Even seeing Bronn, I think they all will play well off of each other. Sam as the Grand Maester, who is like a revolutionary Grand Maester because he's got a quote unquote wife and has a baby on the way, which is not common for the Maesters. So he is not a new. It's just showing the evolution of what the new kingdom is going to be like. Brienne as the new Lord Commander, and it was so cool to see the raven on her breastplate as a symbol of Bran. And the fact that she went into the white, when she went into the white book, and she finished she finishes Jamie's pages. I thought that was so well done, and I think it was a good way for her to bring closure to Jamie and to her relationship with Jamie, and to end it off on, even though he did totally just ditch her, but she kind of found a way to bring closure to it in a way that made sense for both herself and for him. Um, I totally loved it. And I like that they mentioned, yo, where Drogon at? You know what I mean? I like the way that they mentioned that. I wasn't sure about, at first I wasn't really sure about Grey Worm going to Noth because of the butterflies, but
That's what he
I could
did.
see him going back to Noth if he was taking Missandei's body back. That could be a reason why, or maybe because in their conversation, he did say that he would go to North and provide protection because she had mentioned that they're peaceful people, they don't war, and so they're always vulnerable to people messing with them, and that maybe he's just fulfilling what he said to her, that he would that the Unsullied would go to North and provide protection. So maybe, and if that's the case, at least that's the way I would like to see it. I think that it was great that happened. Yeah, I was really, I think everybody got the end. I think the Starks, in for the mostly for them, because they started off as the main protagonists of the story, and they had been so disenfranchised, and they got messed with the whole entire season. And even though the road to get there was horrible, I'm glad that they each found an ending that would provide them the peace and joy and happiness that they really didn't have for a long time. So I was really glad for everybody. I really enjoy. I'm sorry, I rambled on way too long. I really.
No, you didn't. No,
Yeah, I know. You just showing that you really enjoyed it. I think I wanted to enjoy the her doing the book signing of Jamie and putting like the good deeds. I just really wish they didn't have sex. Like I wish they didn't put that in there and just kept him knighting her. I could also keep them like her saying she loves him and he just denies her because he's in love with Cersei. I don't know. It just maybe because I wouldn't have done it and she's different than me, but I disconnected from that and I was like, this is kind of dumb to me. But it's interesting you thought of that. Let's hurry up and finish this because I'm really starting not to feel too well. Sam, you go ahead. What did you think of the whole ending?
Okay, so like I said, in the beginning, this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the entire show because we ended where we started. Each one of the Starks got to do what they said they wanted to do in that first episode. Arya got to go explore. Jon wanted to go to the Wall. Sansa wanted to be queen, and Bran wanted to go to King's Landing. So they all got what they wanted, and it was nice to see them. And as far as Brienne, I think she wrote those things because one, she's duty bound. Brienne is just that type of person. And Brienne wanted to finish those pages. She knew Jaime did do some decent things in his life. So she wanted to write it down. But she also wrote that he died protecting his queen, not the queen. I think that was a little bit of a slap, metaphorically. I loved seeing Arya go off, and I don't know where she got that ship from, but it was awesome. I loved seeing the small council. I think as much as I was like, where the hell did Bran come from? I was like, okay, whatever. He's comedic relief. I do think that Sam is not just the Archmaester. I think he's also Lord of Hornhill as well. And that's where Gilly is. That's why we didn't see her. She's pregnant. She has little Sam, and she's at Hornhill being the lady. I thought that Sansa being Queen in the North was amazing. And I think maybe everyone kind of missed it. I'm not sure because I haven't heard too many people talk about it. But I think at the end of the day, the Starks, Bran, Sansa, and Arya, outplayed everyone else because, yes, Jon got sent to the Wall, but there is no Night's Watch left. Jon isn't going.
It was a few of them in there.
Yeah, someone closed the gate. There's definitely some wildlings that chose to stay there.
Yeah, no, not just wildlings. There was some Night Watch people in all black there. It wasn't a lot, but it was a few.
If you looked really closely though, T, because I watched it 4 times now, I'm on my 4th rewatch. If you look closely, those aren't Night's Watchmen. Those are the Northmen that were behind Jon and Davos when they were coming in. They were just dressed in all black. So they definitely played everyone because now Jon, from the way that I see it, Jon is now king of the true north of the Wall and the free folk. Sansa is queen of the North. Bran is king of the seven, six, whatever kingdoms and controller of all of that. And they're kind of the most powerful people because everyone's indebted to them or related to them in a way. And Sailor Diva made a point. Sansa may not may be queen in the north, but she's also the most powerful person in Westeros. Her brother's the king of the six kingdoms. Her cousin's the Lord of the Vale, and her uncle's the Lord of the Riverlands. It's true, and it's not just true for her. It's true for all three of them: Bran, Sansa, and Arya. And Arya is getting to go explore. That's all Arya ever wanted to do. She didn't want to be a faceless man. She didn't want to go to Essos. Literally, she was just trying to survive. That's all she was doing. And Syrio Farrell told her she would be safe in Bravos, so that's where she went. She wasn't intending on going there. So I think, it was nice to see them all end, even though they were separate. I think that they're all still kind of together.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to real quick, when it comes to Jon, I don't think he's going to be king of the wildlings. I think he's just living his life as a free man, just regular. I think he does not want to lead people at all. Go ahead, AK.
Yeah, I think the board is now reset. Like, I've always thought this world moves in circles. It's going to always be a Game of Thrones. And eventually, all of this is going to fade into myth and legend. And once again, people are not going to think about, what's north of the wall or White Walkers or the Long Night or any of that. The game is now reset. And people will forget again, and this shit's gonna just start all over with new players.
Yeah. Oh Lord, y'all, I'm starting not to feel good. I'm sorry, but this was a dope stream. I'm glad that it was more positive than I thought it was going to be, and I'm glad that you guys in the chat were cool with liking people who loved this episode, and also cool with people who didn't. And you guys proved that we can be cool with each other and not agree. So I love that. So we're about to sign off. Like I said, I'm not feeling too well. I'm sorry I wasn't on camera, but I'm gonna let the ladies tell you where you can find them. Their links will be in the description box below, including Sam's as well. Please check her out. But starting off with Sam, tell them where they can find you, and if you have anything planning coming up that they can watch out for.
Okay. Bye, everybody. It was awesome to be with the Mad Queens again. I love you. I love you, ladies. You guys are awesome. I never miss a Mad Queen stream. You will always find me in the chat every time, hands down. I just want to say thank you to you guys, to everyone in this community, to everyone who brought me into this community. I think I'm going to do maybe a live stream tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm going to try. Other than that, I don't really have much coming up. But I do want to let everyone know, because I was letting the ladies know before we went live, there is a quote unquote after the episode on Sunday at Game of Thrones regular time. It's called The Last Read. It's supposed to be good from what I've seen. I don't know how good it'll be, but I'm planning on watching. Maybe they might explain some questions we have. So I hope you guys all enjoy if you feel like watching. And if I do a stream, I will be sure to let everyone know. I'll let OTBA know, and he'll let everyone know. So thank you again, guys. It's been amazing.
Yes, this has been an amazing ride for sure. Beauty Queen, let them know where they can find you and what's coming up.
Y'all can find me on my channel, ManaroGeekTV. If you feel like, come in and listen to me read the summarized versions of the chapters. I am finishing up Dance of Dragons and hope to have that done by June. The next thing that I have coming up is Harry Potter. I will be kicking that off, going through all of the Harry Potter books coming up after the week after the 4th of July. So if you guys are interested, please join me, and I will be having whoever here is on the panel that wants to join me, and probably some other people to have that discussion. And I think that's about it. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Shout out to everybody in the chat, and to my girls. Love y'all. This was a great ride. And overall, I'm glad I was able to be able to watch the show and appreciate it for good or for bad. Yeah. Peace, everybody.
And you know she's gonna sprinkle some ginger ale chats in there too. I'm just gonna throw that in there. AK, tell them where they can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, word up. Definitely. Thank you for having me on, T. It's always a pleasure hanging with the ladies here. I will be on tomorrow with Mackenzie Burns on her channel, along with John to Be Crazy and probably one or two other folks. I think Fandom D State might be stopping by on there as well. So set your notifications, give Mackenzie a link. She's got some great discussions on there. Besides that, myself and Johnny Be Crazy have an installment of They Deserved It, probably within the next week or two. And I'll be at the con coming up in a couple months. I will be on one of the panels with Tony Teflon. And see, I think that's just about it for right now. I'm always in the chats with all of our fandom family here. And I will see y'all around always. This might be the end of this show, but it won't be the end of us hanging out and discussing some other great epic things. So thank you for taking this ride with us. We appreciate all of you.
Yes, this is I adore these ladies and I enjoyed this convo and I just enjoyed talking to you. You guys made this season. Even if I didn't enjoy the season, and just talking about it with you guys was a highlight for me. I'm rereading now, so I'm gonna start doing more videos on the books. So look out for that. It's not over for me and the ladies because y'all know we're into a bunch of shit. Black Mirror is about to come on. Why am I blanking? Netflix. Stranger Things. Yeah. Stranger Things about to come on. You know me and my girl's gonna talk about that. So and then once this video post, go in the comment section and say, like, you know what, we're into this show, we're into this, we're into that. I might be into the same shit and we could talk about it. Like, Game of Thrones is a dope show. It's not the only thing we all have in common. So even though this seems like it's final and it's farewell, no, it's not. We just closing a chapter on the show. We always have the books coming up. We definitely have different shows. We're so into different things that this won't stop. We're a family, we're a unit. So please come in, check out all the ladies. Like I said, they're in the description box below. And like, this has been a blast. AK, can you shout out the people that's in the chat before we go?
Yeah, or Miss Witch, the Granite Person, Dornis Winch, Fandom D Saint, OTDA, my second in command of the Chats Guard, J Towns, Chicago, Santavia Major, Chrissy of Old Stones was in the spot. See, Sailor Diva, Aaron Water was in here, Edward Martin, LMR, I believe, was in here earlier. Plexi Brand always has great questions. T Robinson, my boy Lord Dom Snow, Santavia, see Amanda. Thank y'all for coming in. Mara Jade Starwalker. Appreciate that. Earlier, I believe Luke from Drinks and Knows Things was in. Vincent Harper. Let's see who else we got to the top here. I believe I saw Icy Spots earlier.
Yeah.
Hayden. J-Town, I think I said you don't know, but said it again if I did. Plexi Rand.
Mara Jade Starkwalker.
Yep, got Mara. Lady of the Blankets, Nancy T was in. Thank you so much for coming through. The boy Wanda was also in the spot. DJ, Dornis Winch.
Yeah, all of y'all, thanks for coming out. Thanks for just riding with us, rocking with us, and just being a part of this. And like Beauty Queen said, there's Witcher, there's Watchmen. I'm cool with watching Deadwood. I know she wanted to do a stream on that. Westworld, they just came out with like a new trailer that comes out next year. So it's plenty of stuff we're all into that we can keep this thing going for sure. But thank you for riding with us. Thank you for rocking with us. This has been a blast. And this is not the last time, like we said, you'll see us. Until the next time. Jon's still a dumbass.